Welcome back. This isn't a video on how to flirt with older women, and it's certainly not a tutorial on how to look mature, because if you're trying to sound mature, you've missed the point. Older women aren't looking for age, they're looking for maturity. They don't care what you say, they feel who you are. And if you haven't had your illusions stripped away by a calm gaze from one of theirs, then you're probably still dating girls, and you've never entered the realm of the experienced woman. In this video, I won't tell you what to say to impress. I'll show you how to live to be someone they can't ignore, even when they try to act like they don't need anyone. Number 1. Scent is the silent seduction. How smell awakens her attraction without a word. There's something you can't fake, something deeper than looks, smoother than charm, more unforgettable than words. It's not your car, it's not your jawline, it's not the job title in your bio, it's your scent. Most men underestimate it, but women, especially older women, feel it before they even realize it. It's primal, it's chemical, and it's powerful. You walk past her. She doesn't even look up, but her body reacts. Her breath pauses for half a second. Her skin tightens slightly. She doesn't know why. But you just left something in the air, and it's not just cologne. It's your pheromones, your clean skin, the subtle blend of soap, musk, and masculine intent. Science backs it up. Research by Hertz and Engen, 1996, shows that scent is directly linked to emotional memory. The olfactory bulb, the part of the brain that processes smell, sits right next to the amygdala and hippocampus, where emotions and memories are stored. That means one whiff of your scent can awaken feelings she didn't even know were there. Desire, comfort, curiosity, even longing. And women, especially mature ones, are hardwired to notice. They have up to 50% more olfactory neurons than men. They're not just smelling cologne, they're decoding your presence, your health, your hygiene, your emotional state, whether you're grounded or anxious, whether you're clean or careless, whether you carry mystery or desperation. A study from the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro found that scent increased physical attraction by up to 85.5% when aligned with natural chemistry. That's not magic, that's biology. So how do you apply this? First, simplify. Seneca said, "Simplicity is the highest form of sophistication. Avoid overpowering sprays that scream for attention. Instead, let your scent whisper. Use something earthy wood, musk, a hint of spice. Think Creed Aventus, Tom Ford Oud Wood, or Dior Homme. Not because they're expensive, but because they blend. They don't dominate, they invite. Second, understand that no scent can cover neglect. You can't spray over poor hygiene. Shower daily, wear clean clothes, keep your breath fresh. Your body is the canvas. The cologne is the brushstroke, but if the canvas is stained, the art fails. Third, apply intentionally. Don't douse yourself. One spray on the neck, one on the wrist, maybe one on the chest. That's it. Let it mix with your skin. Let it settle. She should notice it when she leans in, not when you walk into the room. And finally, let your scent do the talking. You don't need to explain your value. You don't need to force attraction. When you carry yourself with stillness, when you smell clean and composed, her mind connects the dots for you. That's the power of scent. It's not about impressing her. It's about activating something deeper, a memory, a curiosity, a pulse she didn't expect. And when she walks away, you won't have to wonder if she felt something. You'll know, because even if she forgets what you said, she'll remember how you made her feel. She'll remember how you smelled. Number 2, why older women are drawn to men with a strong sense of identity. A man who knows who he is doesn't need to convince anyone. And that's exactly why he becomes magnetic, especially to women who've lived long enough to see through masks and empty charm. It's not about being loud or dominant. It's about quiet clarity, He doesn't hesitate when choosing a restaurant. He doesn't ask, "What do you want me to be?" He simply is. "I like morning walks. Want to join me?" That's it. No begging for approval. No adapting his entire rhythm to fit hers. He invites, not pleads. Women, especially those with life experience, feel this difference instantly. They've had the dinners where the man says, "Whatever you want, babe." They've had the relationships where they had to carry the emotional weight because he was lost. What they crave now isn't a pleaser, it's a presence. According to evolutionary psychologist David Buss, 1989, what truly attracts women is not just physical appeal, but signals of stability, direction, and self-trust. A man with his own values, his own routines, and a life that reflects them becomes a lighthouse. He doesn't chase attention, he commands it simply by standing still in his truth. Older women, in particular, pick up on this faster than younger ones. Their attraction radar is calibrated by experience. They don't just want excitement, they want consistency. They want a man who's not just free, but anchored. Someone who doesn't ask, "What should I do?" but instead says, "Here's what I believe. Come with me if it resonates." So how does this look in real life? It's the man who has hobbies that don't require validation, who doesn't change his schedule just because a text came in, who lives by a code, maybe discipline, maybe creativity, maybe exploration, but it's his. It's the man who doesn't try to impress with external things, but instead expresses his internal clarity. When dating, he doesn't try to mirror her desires. He leads. "I know a quiet place downtown. Let's go Saturday at 7. No flinching, no over-explaining. If she says yes, great. If she hesitates, he's still at peace. Because he's not attached to the outcome, he's rooted in his process." Modern psychology supports this. The sense of self-determination described by Buss and others correlates strongly with emotional resilience and perceived attractiveness. When you live from a core identity, you become harder to manipulate, more resilient to rejection, and more desirable, especially to women who value emotional maturity. This is not about being rigid, it's about being real. The key is self-reflection. Ask yourself, what do I believe in? What kind of man am I when no one's watching? What makes me come alive? Then build your days around those truths. Wake up early, train, read, create, reflect. When someone enters your life, you're not looking for someone to complete you. You're offering them a space to join a life already full. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. That's what she notices. That's what makes you unforgettable." Not because you became what she wanted, but because you were already enough as you are. Number 3. Older women feel deeply but reveal very little. She says she's fine, but her eyes shift for a second. Her voice dips lower than usual. Her text is short, her replies delayed. She's not upset at the world, she's just quietly hoping you'll notice what's underneath. Older women don't wear their hearts on their sleeves the way younger women might. They've learned through heartbreak, life experience, and emotional fatigue that vulnerability can be a risk. So instead of expressing every ripple of emotion, they choose silence, distance, subtle cues, and they wait not for someone to fix them, but for someone to read them. This is where most men get it wrong. They hear the words, "I'm okay," and take it at face value. They miss the tone, the micro-expression, the hesitation. They respond logically, not emotionally. And the connection dissolves not because they didn't care, but because they didn't see. According to emotional intelligence researcher Daniel Goleman, 1995, the ability to perceive, interpret, and respond to others' emotions without explicit expression is what separates surface-level connection from emotional intimacy. For older women who have trained themselves to test before they trust this skill, isn't just attractive, it's necessary. This doesn't mean you need to become a mind reader. It means you need to become more present, Notice how her eyes linger on a question but don't answer. Feel the shift in tone when she talks about her day. Catch the pause when she says, "It was nothing." These are not accusations or demands, they're invitations to depth. She's watching if you notice the part of her that no longer begs to be seen. When she's distant, don't push. When she says, "I'm fine," don't correct, observe. Then offer space without detachment. Say softly, "I'm here if you want to talk," and go back to your book, your coffee, your calm. Let your steadiness be the ground she can return to, not the pressure that drives her further away. This is not passivity, it's emotional strength. It's what Epictetus meant when he said, "Listen more than you speak, and understand before you react." Because women like her don't need solutions, they need recognition. They need to know that you sense the waves even when the surface looks still. Modern psychology supports this. Goleman's research shows that emotional attunement, the subtle noticing of shifts in tone, rhythm, and mood, builds trust faster than any spoken promise. Especially for emotionally mature women, being understood without having to beg for it is the rarest and most valued currency in connection. So the next time she says, "Don't worry, I'm just tired," and you feel something in the way she avoids your eyes, don't interrogate her. Just sit beside her. Be quiet. Be calm. Let your presence say, "I see you," even in your silence. That's how emotional trust is born. That's how attraction deepens beyond chemistry. And that's how you become the man she doesn't have to explain herself to, because you already get it. Number 4, the silent power of preselection. Why women trust men who are already valued. He walks into the room not alone, not boasting, not even trying to impress. He's just there, laughing with a female colleague, holding her coat as she adjusts her bag, nodding politely to someone across the room, and instantly women notice, not because of his looks, but because someone else already does. This is the quiet phenomenon of preselection, the idea that women are more drawn to men who are already appreciated by other women. It's not a trick, it's not manipulation, it's evolutionary psychology deeply embedded in how we assess social and romantic value. And older women, with their emotional experience and refined instincts, pick up on it instantly. According to evolutionary psychologist David Buss and colleague Todd Shackelford, 1997, preselection reduces the fear of choosing the wrong man. It acts like a social signal. If others trust him, laugh with him, feel safe around him, then he's passed an unspoken test. He's been vetted, and that makes all the difference. For mature women who've seen charm without substance, beauty without loyalty, this signal matters more than ever. They don't chase illusions. They look for signs of stability, safety, and emotional intelligence. And nothing says safe to love more than a man who already knows how to treat women well. But here's the key. It has to be authentic. Manufactured popularity backfires. Posting staged photos with women or trying too hard to prove you're desired only screams insecurity. Real preselection comes from living a connected life, having genuine friendships with women, showing you can be respectful, kind, and socially intelligent without expecting anything in return. So how do you cultivate this without faking it? You build a full life. You maintain respectful relationships with female friends and colleagues. You show that you're capable of emotional depth, laughter, and boundaries, not just in romantic relationships, but in human connections in general. And when you do mention your social circle, it's natural, not strategic. You say, "A friend told me the funniest story yesterday," not "girls are always around me." Seneca wrote, "Live in such a way that your worth shines without you speaking a word." Preselection is that quiet glow. It's the way others respond to you that speaks louder than anything you say about yourself. In modern psychology, this isn't just about attraction, it's about trust. Research shows that when others validate a person's behavior, especially in close relationships, it creates a ripple effect of credibility. For older women who prioritize emotional safety over superficial thrills, this credibility is magnetic. So the next time you think you need to prove your value, stop. Just live your value. Be the kind of man who is naturally surrounded by respect, laughter, and trust, and women will notice without you ever needing to explain why. Number 5. When teasing means she's interested, the playful psychology behind her smile. She tilts her head, squints slightly at your shirt, and says with a smirk, "Wow, that's a bold fashion choice." You pause, half wondering if it's a jab, but then she laughs, soft and warm, and her eyes linger a second longer than they need to. That's not rejection. That's attraction hidden behind the veil of play. For many men, especially when interacting with older women who are more emotionally complex and socially refined, teasing can be misinterpreted. It might come off as disapproval or judgment. But in reality, it's often a test, a subtle emotional handshake asking, "Can you play with me? Can you keep up without getting rattled?" According to evolutionary psychologist David Buss, 1989, teasing creates a light form of emotional tension, positive tension. It helps assess a man's emotional resilience. Can he stay grounded when gently poked? Can he laugh at himself without crumbling? Older women, with their sharpened instincts and life experience, don't just look for charm, they look for social intelligence. And teasing is one of their favorite tools to measure it. Teasing is flirtation in disguise. It's how emotionally aware women invite you into connection without making it obvious. A woman who's not interested usually won't bother teasing you at all. She'll remain polite, distant, or overly formal. But a woman who subtly mocks your playlist, questions your coffee order, or jokes about how confident you seem, she's not pushing you away. She's pulling you in sideways. The key is how you respond. If you get defensive or explain yourself, you fail the test. If you ignore it entirely, you miss the opening. But if you smile, tease back gently, and hold your ground with playful calmness, the dynamic shifts. The moment becomes shared laughter. The spark ignites. Confidence isn't loud. It's not about dominating the conversation or proving yourself right. It's about being unshaken by play. When you can stay composed while dancing in the gray zone of ambiguity, you show her you're emotionally sturdy. You pass the test without even realizing you were in one. That's why teasing works so well. It opens the door to tension, but a tension that bonds, not breaks. When mutual, teasing becomes an intimate language between two people who see each other not just clearly, but lightly. It says, "I see your edges, and I'm not afraid to brush against them." And that creates emotional electricity. But make no mistake, there's a line. Teasing born of insecurity or disguised contempt will shatter trust. The moment it becomes mocking or dismissive, it stops being flirtation and starts being harm. That's why the Stoic wisdom of Marcus Aurelius still holds. Keep your mind calm in the face of any challenge. Responding to teasing with emotional steadiness and humor shows that you are secure in yourself. And nothing is more attractive to a mature woman than a man who doesn't flinch under gentle pressure. Psychologically, teasing fosters dynamic connection. It breaks formal walls and creates space for play. It's not just communication, it's courtship. And in the hands of a confident man, it becomes a tool not of defense, but of charm. So next time she calls you out with a grin or questions your choice of shoes with raised brows, don't overthink. Smile. Respond with wit. And let her know, without saying it outright, that you're here to play too. Number 6. Reading the unspoken. How emotionally intelligent men understand older women. She says, "I'm fine," but her arms are crossed and her eyes drift toward the window. Her voice is even, but her shoulders are tense. If you take her words at face value, you'll miss everything she's actually trying to say, and she won't correct you. She'll just file away one quiet truth: you don't get her. Older women don't always speak directly. They've learned through years of experience that words can be misunderstood, dismissed, or used against them. So instead, they speak in a language deeper than sentences, in glances, pauses, tone shifts, and silence. The way she leans back when you mention someone new. The way her smile fades half a second too soon. The way her voice drops when she says she's had an okay day. These aren't accidents, they're emotional Morse code. And if you're not paying attention, she'll know instantly. According to emotional intelligence research, Goldman, 1995, the ability to read nonverbal cues is one of the highest forms of empathy. For emotionally mature women, it's not just attractive, it's a requirement. They want a man who doesn't need things spelled out, who picks up on energy shifts without being told, who sees the trembling hands behind the calm words and says, without pressure, I'm here when you're ready. This doesn't mean playing therapist or over-analyzing every sigh. It means noticing, responding gently, holding space, not taking space. It means being the kind of man who listens with his whole presence. When she says she's fine but turns her body away, you can simply reply, if there's something on your mind, I'd like to hear it whenever you're ready. And then you wait, not anxiously, not passive-aggressively, but with a steady calm that says, I'm safe, I'm solid, I'll still be here. This ability to listen without invading, to see without accusing, is rare. And women who have been through enough life to know the difference will gravitate toward it like oxygen. Because in a world full of men who interrupt, react, or need everything translated, the one who reads the unspoken becomes unforgettable. The Stoic Epictetus once said, understand before you react. Listen with your whole mind. That's not just philosophical wisdom, it's relationship gold. When you become a man who can read her eyes better than her words, she will feel something far more powerful than attraction. She will feel understood. And that, for an older woman who's lived through misunderstanding, is everything. Psychologically, this kind of awareness is a social superpower. Nonverbal cues reveal the emotional truth behind the words. The ability to decode them strengthens trust and creates deeper emotional bonds. It's not about guessing or fixing. It's about being attuned, present, grounded, and emotionally available without smothering. So next time she says, everything's okay, and you sense it's not, don't ask her to explain. Show her she doesn't need to. Let your eyes meet hers with steadiness. Offer comfort in your tone. Be the man who sees what others miss, because to a woman who speaks in silence, your understanding is the loudest declaration of love. Number 7. When she hides her beauty, how to make an older woman feel safe in intimacy. She hesitates just before the light hits her face. Her body leans toward you, but her hand gently reaches for the bedsheet, pulling it up with a small, nearly invisible gesture of self-protection. You think she's shy, maybe even distant. But in truth, she's wondering if you're looking at her or her wrinkles. This is the silent war women fight inside their heads, especially as they age. Society has taught them that beauty fades, that youth is currency, that love is reserved for the smooth-skinned and the unblemished. So even when a woman desires you deeply, her mind might whisper, will he still want me when he sees me clearly? According to Baumeister's 1998 research on self-esteem and social value, women tie a significant part of their self-worth to physical appearance. As they grow older, that association becomes more emotionally loaded. In intimate moments, an older woman doesn't just want to feel desired, she needs to feel safe. Not just physically safe, but emotionally safe. She needs to know that you see her, all of her, and still choose to move closer, not out of pity, not out of politeness, but because she matters. not despite her years, but because of them. This kind of emotional safety doesn't come from compliments about how young she looks. It comes from sincere presence, from words like, "You're incredibly beautiful when you laugh like that," spoken not as flattery, but as truth. From your gaze lingering not on what society says she should hide, but on what makes her feel real. In those vulnerable seconds when she looks away, when her posture tightens, when she pulls the blanket just a little higher, you have a choice. You can pretend not to notice, or you can meet her where she is, gently. A quiet, "I love the way you are right now," can dismantle years of inner judgment. A soft hand resting confidently on hers tells her, without words, "I'm not here for the perfect pose. I'm here for you." Marcus Aurelius once said, "Accept others as nature made them." This isn't just Stoic wisdom, it's an invitation to love without conditions, to be the man who doesn't need flawless beauty to be moved, who doesn't need artificial light to see something sacred. In modern psychology, this act of unconditional acceptance is deeply healing. It boosts self-confidence, lowers emotional defenses, and creates a safe space for real connection. The research is clear: what truly deepens intimacy isn't physical perfection, it's emotional permission. The permission to be seen, fully, flaws and all. So if you're with an older woman and you notice her withdrawing slightly, not from you, but from her own reflection, don't ignore it. Move closer, not with lust, but with presence. Tell her something beautiful that has nothing to do with the surface. Look her in the eyes and say, "You don't have to hide. I'm right here." Because in that moment, your presence isn't just comfort, it's redemption. You become the man who makes her forget the lies she's been told about fading beauty. And when she feels that, truly feels it, she'll let go, not just of the sheet, but of the fear that she's not enough. And in doing so, she'll give you something no mirror ever could, her unguarded self. Number 8. When she feels you, not just touches you. How emotional connection amplifies physical pleasure. There's a moment silent, slow, when your hand finds hers, and she doesn't just feel your skin, she feels seen. That's the difference. For an older woman, touch without presence is noise, but presence that's still steady awareness that says, "I'm here and I feel this with you," becomes music. You see, physical pleasure is not just biology. For women, especially as they age, it's deeply intertwined with emotional connection. It's not the act itself, but what it means. When she looks into your eyes and sees patience instead of pressure, when your voice slows instead of speeds up, when your hands listen more than demand, that's when she lets go. And in that release, she discovers not just pleasure, but safety. Daniel Goleman's research on emotional intelligence, 1995, tells us that emotional connection triggers a sense of security in the brain. This security lowers self-consciousness, dissolves anxiety, and opens the door to full presence in the moment. For a woman who's lived through decades of social pressure, of being told how to look, feel, and perform, this kind of connection isn't just nice, it's revolutionary. Because here's the truth, women don't just want to be wanted, they want to be understood, especially those who have learned through time that beauty fades, bodies change, and superficial desire doesn't always equal genuine love. So when you show up emotionally, when you meet her with presence instead of performance, she feels that deeply, and her body responds. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be real. That means listening to her breath, slowing your own, making space for silence between touches. It means saying something simple but honest, like, "You make me feel calm," or "I love the way we just fit." Not because it's a line, but because it's true. She'll know the difference. And here's the paradox. The more emotionally present you are, the more physically intense her pleasure becomes. Why? Because she's not guarding herself anymore. She's not wondering if she looks okay, if she's doing it right or if you're comparing her to someone else. She's there fully, and that is where real intimacy lives. Seneca once wrote, "True presence is the rarest gift we can offer. In a world of distractions and fleeting attention, your presence tells her you matter more than the noise. It tells her you are enough right now, just like this." So next time you're with her, don't rush. Don't focus on the end. Focus on the now. Hold her hand. Breathe with her. Look into her eyes long enough that she feels your stillness. Say something she'll remember, not because it was clever, but because it was felt. And in return, she'll give you something no surface-level seduction can ever replicate. A moment so full, so real, that even silence feels like thunder. That's the kind of intimacy she'll crave again, not because you touched her skin, but because you touched her soul. They need you to be present, not hidden. Older women are not swayed by appearances. They are not fooled by pretty words or good intentions. They read you by scent, energy, and the depth of silence. And if you think just trying to be nice is enough, you're lost in an emotional zone that they don't have to say, but you feel like a storm. Self-control, clear direction, and genuine emotional connection, that's what they're drawn to. Not because you're perfect, but because you're no longer afraid of them seeing the real you. If this video opens up a new perspective on a type of woman you've misjudged, subscribe, ring the bell, and comment below this quote: "I don't impress, I let my values speak for themselves." See you in Stoic love, where men don't have to choose, because their very presence is a powerful choice.